So hello everyone, and welcome to the RPA Summer School Session 2. I hope most of you were here the first time, even if it was on a different time zone, maybe most of you weren't. And if you weren't, I hope you managed to watch the recording and get here properly set with StudioX. If you haven't, so no worries, we'll be taking care of that soon. So Nicolas will be here to help you. I won't take you again through the program because I think you know, although I can show you again the program page. Everyone, each of you who is not familiar, this is the program page. So if you want to check the other sessions and the past sessions content, you can just go to this page on community.uipath.com. You will find it here under the tab Academy, RPA Summer School. And if you go on program page, then you can see all the sessions listed here, and you will be able to access them and the content. I'm showing this now because many of you have questions related to how do we find the content and where are the event links. These are the event links, and you can find them here on the program page. So we're glad to see you today with us, and we hope you are here to learn and also have fun. This is the second session, running your first UI automation. So this is a session that comes right after you learn how to install StudioX and downloaded it and installed it. And this will be the session when you start your very first automation, and it will be a UI automation unicorn name. This is the team we have with us today. So we have Nicolas Eglickman, who is going to be the speaker and your trainer for today. Also Han Nguyen, who will be helping us and as a teammate for Nicolas, also trainer for session 4 in this RPA Summer School series. You will have me as host, and we also have with us Catalina Otano from UiPath, who will be helping you with the questions in chat. I'm sorry that you will be on mute until the Q&A, but please feel free to ask any question in chat, as Han and Catalina will be there with answers, and me also. So any question you ask in chat will be answered, do not worry. And some of them we will also save for the Q&A, which will be later on. We are also here today to have a bit of fun. There will be a Menti quiz, and we'll have a winner today. So pay attention to the presentation when the Menti quiz comes. You will be the first and fast to answer and get the prize in UiPath swag. This is our agenda for today. So first, we are going to start off with installing the StudioX verification. We're going to perform a verification and see how many of you managed to install StudioX, whether you have any problems. And if not, we are going perhaps to just rewatch again a demo video. Then Nicolas is going to start you off introduction to user interface automation. Then you're going to get familiar with StudioX activities for UI automation and create your very first UI automation project from a web app. Then you're going to learn, and this is very interesting, everyone found it very interesting the first time around in module 1, you're going to learn how to automate faster and record the automation steps. Then you're going to learn what more can be automated with a UI from desktop. And we're going to end, of course, with some interaction and Q&A. You're going to be also able to ask a few questions live. In the end, we're going to wrap up with Academy to tell you how you can follow on this path onwards if you want to learn more. And please, for today, I don't know if you already have from the email you got between sessions or from the event text, from the event link. This is a tutorial for StudioX installation, which you needn't touch now because Nicolas will go through it if we have time and if we have reason. But you will need this link for exercise packs. So if you haven't already downloaded them, the exercise, I'm going to paste the link now in chat. And please download the exercise pack now because you're going to need it later. Okay. I see some of you are saying they could not download the practice exercises. I don't know why. Was anyone else not able to download them? Like for a certain reason, not that they just didn't? Okay. Page not opening. I'm going to try that link right now. Okay, let me fix it now. It shouldn't be like that, but I'm going to try to fix it now. I'm going to let Nicolas also start introducing it, and I'm going to reshare it in chat in a minute after I change the settings. Yes? Nicolas, you can start, I think.
Hi, how are you all? Thanks, Christina, for the introductions. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Hi, how are you, everybody? So first, what we want to ask is, has anyone not downloaded StudioX or installed it? Because we're gonna go over the steps. But if someone had any problem with downloading it, we can show you and share you a video that was created by Nidhi, who was the trainer for the previous session, where we can go over that and check if there's any step that you were missing. But if everyone already has downloaded successfully, there's actually no need for that. So if you can paste that in the chat, just if you had problems. If not, the basic idea is first we need to sign up in the UiPath Automation Cloud. For that, we have the link. This is shared in documentations for the session. You can go over the website to check this. Then you will have on the right side a button that says sign up for UiPath Automation Cloud Community. Then after signing up, you will complete your email, you will complete your password. Then after doing that, that will redirect you to UiPath Cloud, Automation Cloud. It will send you an email. So you need to confirm that email for activating your account. Then when you go to the Automation Cloud account, you will see a button that says download UiPath Studio. After downloading UiPath Studio, you will execute that installer, and that would just ask you to log in again to the UiPath Automation Cloud. And after doing the login, you will be prompted to select which profile of UiPath Studio you want to use. You're going to see 3 profiles: UiPath Studio Pro, UiPath Studio, and UiPath StudioX, right? So if you didn't attend the previous session, the difference between UiPath Studio and Studio Pro versus UiPath StudioX is that UiPath Studio and Studio Pro are directed for developers mainly. So you will need to get knowledge on programming and that kind of stuff to actually being able to use it. So for people who doesn't have that technological knowledge, it would be a little bit harder to use it. And that's why UiPath created the profile StudioX, that is basically for business users or any user basically that doesn't have any programming knowledge. And thus it would be really easy to use. That is why we are going to use the StudioX profile. Let me just check the chat.
Everyone, please try again the link for exercise pack. I changed the settings. It should work now. It is on a Google Drive, but it's public shared, so anyone on the internet with this link can view the exercise pack. Please try again. Okay. Thank you. So it works. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, maybe just in case, let me paste you this link here. If you go over the recording of the previous session, you will be able to actually see the installation and all the process to download and install StudioX. But if you just want to see that part, Nidhi also created a video that is just specific to download and install StudioX. So I'll just pasted the link here to the YouTube video. I'm guessing that since nobody mentioned that had any problems, everyone was able to do it, but just in case. Okay, before actually moving forward with the session, we also want to mention that If you go into the Academy website, also you are going to be able to access this link later. If you go into the learning by role part, you will see one group that it says RPA Citizen Developer Foundation. This group of courses are directed to learning how to use UiPath StudioX. And it will start with a small introduction, then they will go into user interface automation, more or less what we are going to do today. But what we are going to do today is try to do a little bit simpler and explain it a little bit more. But you can extend your knowledge if you go and do all those courses. You also have Word automation, Excel automation, and other sessions. But we are also going to be showing Word and Excel automations in the next sessions, not today. So please try to attend to those sessions. Okay, so before actually doing any user interface automation, we have to define what we talk about user interface automation. What do we mean? Okay, so what is a user interface, right? A user interface is just a series of screen, pages, elements, buttons, input fields, checkboxes, as it said here in the presentation, that basically is everything that lets us interact with an application, okay? So if you see the image here below on the left corner, this is what a UI user interface looks like. We have the page, we have the buttons, we have, I don't know, some text in the middle, we have a close, basically every element that we have on our screen, right? We have here on the right another one with a little bit more, I don't know, user-friendly interface. Here we have not written anything. And basically, UI automation is a process of simulating mouse and keyboard actions on these Windows on controls, right? So for example, let's say, let me show you this. We are going to go to the supplier management system. Let's say this is our application, this is our website. So our user interface is whole application plus these tabs, plus this dropdown, plus all the rows that we have here, buttons to edit, delete. We have the new supplier button. And here we have more elements. We have input boxes, text areas, we have other buttons, we have date pickers, checkboxes, etc. Right? So what do we mean when we say UI automation? We mean actually automating all these steps. So let's say, for example, that what we want to do is, this is the example that we're going to do, but let's say we want to automate the process of actually filling this form. That is just putting my name, then selecting the month where I was born, doing click, getting this text. Okay. Basically, all that I just did was do a click, do some typing, select from a drop down, do another click, and just get this text, right? So UI automation is simulating all those things that I just did. It's simulating the mouse, the keyboard, all the actions that we do with those elements that we have in the user interface, right? And as a business user, we on a daily basis interact with different applications. We work with internet browsers, we use calculators, Excels, desktop applications, right? Everything that we do in a computer is using a user interface, right? That's why user interface automation is so important. So the first thing that we're going to do is getting familiar with StudioX activities for UI automation. And basically, what do we mean when we talk about activities? It's the building blocks of an automation, right? So let's say our software robot needs to do a click, needs to type something, needs to get the text from the browser. Those kind of things are activities, right? So we have two kind of activities. We can split almost all activities into two. The first category is the input category that basically gathers every activity that sends or adds something to an application. And here we have click, type into, select items, check or uncheck activities. We're going to go over each one of them. And the second category is the output category, right? And the output is just, as you can think, just getting something from the applications. Get text, get URLs, get the active window, or extract table data, right? And then we have one extra activity that it's neither nor. That is the use application browser. That is the one that it's mentioned right here. That basically it's not doing any input or output. We just use it to indicate which application we are going to use, right? So if we are going to use a browser, we are going to use that activity to actually say which browser we're going to use. If we want to use a desktop application, let's say, I don't know, a Word file, we're going to use that. You're going to see in the next sessions that UI automation is not the only way to automate things. But if we need to use mouse and keyboard, we are going to use UI automation, right? So let's go over each activity. For the input ones, we have click activity. Every type of click that we need to do, left click, right click, with the middle click. If we need to do a double click, every one of those is going to be done with the click activity. Then we have the type into activity that basically we are going to use it every time that we need to type something in any part of the screen. Let's say it's input text, like, I don't know, the username or the password of the login fields of an application, or we say it's a text area to leave some comments. Then we use the type into. Then we have the select item. Select item, we are going to use it every time that we have a list, a dropdown, right? So basically, what it helps us is we're going to see it in the examples, but basically, let's say the example that we just showed, that we have a list of months. We don't need to type the month like January. If we use select item, we will indicate that dropdown, that list, and the activity will kind of help us saying to us which are all the available options that we can use. So we don't actually need to type anything or configure anything. We will just actually select the option that we want. We're going to see that in a few moments, but just for the explanations. And the check uncheck activity, we're going to use it when we talk about checkboxes, right? So basically that activity will allow us to define a checkbox and say if we want to toggle that. So if it's check, just uncheck it, or vice versa, or just actually make it always check or always unchecked. And then we have the activities for output. Let's say that we created a purchase order, right? Purchase requisition. Anything that we needed to create, we created an invoice in our application. And we need to retrieve that invoice number, that purchase order number, or whatever that we just created. We need to retrieve that data. Then we're going to use get text, right? So basically get text, what we do is indicate which text from the user interface we want to extract. And then we just retrieve that data and leave it to us so we can use it later on for anything that we want. We're going to see an example though. Then we have get URL. You're going to use it, for example, if you are using web application, you click on a button that takes you to another website and you need to extract the URL of that website, then you're just going to use get URL, right? Get active window. This is because when we work with attended automation, the robot is actually working alongside us on the same machine. And sometimes we are using an application, we are using a window that we are working on, and we need the robot to know which application, which window we are working on. Not the robot, but ourselves. So that activity, what it says is it tells the robot which window or which application we are using. And the last one is extract table data. This we're going to use when the data that we want to extract from the browser or the desktop application, it's not a text, but it's actually a table, right? And it has like a lot of benefits to use that activity because it will actually interpret the rows and the columns of the data we want to extract and actually get us a table from the data and not just some text. Okay. So the idea first is to go to do the Menti quiz with the first question. So actually see if you had any problems understanding this part or we need to clarify something. So here we have the code is 34718256. Let me just type it in the chat. So it's 34718256.
Okay, guys, so Nicholas, I think you're on the letterboard slide. So if you can go to the start of presentation.
Yeah, let me just remove.
Guys, go
this.
to menti.com now. So this is quiz time. I know we had a question earlier for someone who followed through module 1 and he told us okay. If there is someone that followed through module 1 and got to the end quiz of the summer school, yes, you will have another option at the end of this module to retake that quiz. So if you follow again the whole sessions until the end, you will receive again the end quiz link and be able to download the certificate. Now let's focus a bit on this fun quiz, Menti. So if you go on menti.com and you type in this code 34718256, 34718256.
Let me just copy the link. If not, just if someone wants.
I already gave.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I already gave. So they should go to menti.com and type in this code. Okay, we'll see how many gather. I see we already have a lot there. Let's see if the number grows.
Yeah.
Okay, so just menti.com and type in the numeric code and you should get into the competition now, into this quiz to win a UiPath swag. Okay, so we're up to 62. Let's see if it grows any further. 63.
You mentioned swag and people start showing.
Yeah, I mentioned swag and okay. It's nice when you see everyone in the session here with their alter egos. We have an alien this time and the unicorn again. Okay, so I think we can start now. I think everyone had enough time to join. So guys, pay attention and answer fast because the faster you answer in Menti, the more points you get, yes? So which StudioX activity can be used to press a specific item on screen? Click, type into, get text, magic wand. Okay, guys, so answer fast. You still have 5 more seconds.
Okay, so the correct answer was click activity. Anytime that we want to press something, we want to click something, we use a click activity. All the activities that you're going to see in UiPath StudioX, or at least most of them, their name actually reflects what we want to do, right? So when we need to click something, we have the click activity. When we need to type into some text box, We have the type into. When we need to get some text, we have get text. And unfortunately, we don't have a magic one. We don't have any magic besides technology. But the picture was trying to deceive us with the image of a wand.
It was suggestive, not deceitful.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
guys,
just,
we're going to have 2 more questions in Menti, but later, so follow through the presentation.
just see the
Let's see who
leaderboard.
is the leader now. Okay, so we have
So let's automate.
Let's automate sounds very professional for the RPA Summer School.
Yeah.
I hope it's fair competition. Let's automate. Okay.
Just that. So again, you'll have the exercise pack to download, but this first session, we are actually doing everything from scratch, the first 2 exercises. So we can do this. So the first example that we are going to do is the find your unicorn name. Let me just actually paste you the link here. It's rpasamples.com. Find unicorn name. And what we are going to do is we're going to do 3 steps. First one, we need to open StudioX and download the project files. Then we are going to install the browser extension. If you weren't able to do that on the previous session, we are going to do it now. Then we are going to create the automation and actually run the project. Okay, so why do we say we need to install the browser extensions in StudioX? This is because Studio by default knows how to talk to Internet Explorer. But if we want to use a modern browser, let's say Chrome, Firefox, or Edge, then we need to install an extension for that browser, right? So how do we install extensions in UiPath StudioX? This is my StudioX application. Just probably gonna put it in light so it looks the same as a picture and no one has any problems. Sorry for having it in dark mode. But when you open UiPath application, it's going to do the same that it's doing right now. It's going to open, it's going to ask you if you want to watch a video, tutorial, or go into the academy. I'm just going to close this. And when you want to install an extension, you will go to Tools, and you will just click on the extension that you want, right? So you select Chrome extension. If you want to continue installing, please close all your Chrome processes. So I'm going to just cancel. But what you're going to do is close your Chrome. If you have it open or not, just click OK. This will install your extension. And the next thing you need to do is just open the browser, and you will be prompted by the browser if you want to enable that extension or not, right? You'll just click on enable. Let me just check if we can do it now. It should ask me again to do that. So let's just do OK. The extension was successfully installed. So let me just open Google Chrome. And I already had the extension, so it didn't ask me. But you should be prompted. Let me just remove it and install it again. So I'll show you. UiPath extension is installed. So let's open Chrome again. You're prompted with this, and it says add an extension to the browser. We just need to hit enable extension. Okay. If you do this and you go here into the extensions, you should be able to see UiPath Web Automation extension. Okay. If you don't do this step for any of the 3 browsers, say Chrome, Firefox, or Microsoft Edge, then you won't be able to do the automation without problems. Okay, so be sure to do this. I'm showing in Chrome, but you can do Edge or Firefox. I actually prefer Firefox. So The third step, what we talked about was actually creating the automation workflow. So what we're gonna do is we go into the Start tab and we hit blank task. Okay, we are gonna name this RPA find unicorn name. Okay, we could also put a description if we want. We put the name, we just click on create, and this is going to create a blank automation, a blank task, so we can actually do the process that we want. If you remember the agenda that Christina mentioned, the first exercise that we are gonna do is we're gonna put each application manually. The second example that we're gonna show is how we can use the recorder to actually automate all those steps without actually knowing the activities that we need. But for this part, we are gonna do everything manually, okay? So this is the user interface for StudioX. You will see here all the resources. The resources are the activities that we have. And you will see that there are here some categories for the thing we want to do. So if we want to do something in a desktop application or a web application, then we can just filter here for everything that it's application or web. If we're gonna go into Excel, we can just click Excel and work with the Excel. Same for email files, or we also have some SAP activities if we are working with SAP. Perhaps PowerPoint or Word, okay? So basically right now we're gonna just do web application. So we are gonna just go here. And you remember what we talked about a few slides ago? We mentioned that we have some input activities, output activities, and then we have one special activity that was called use application or browser, that we were gonna use it to indicate which browser or which desktop application we were going to use. So this is the first activity that we need to use, right? So we're gonna go into the resource part, the activities part. We're gonna left click in the use application browser, and we're gonna drag and drop it here where it says drop activity here, right?
And Nicholas, I just want to, sorry for
Yeah.
interrupt, but some people are having issue installing the Chrome extension due to the system settings, system permission on the machine.
Okay, so for this, what you can do in this case, because that's more a security policy from your company, you can use Internet Explorer. If you use Internet Explorer, you won't need any extension to install. We should try to use another browsers, and this is something that if you use it in your company, you will need to get installed, because Microsoft is, I think, already dropped support for Internet Explorer, and the newest versions of Windows are not gonna get Internet Explorer. I think everything is coming with Edge right now. So for future projects, I would just recommend to talk to your company's IT. Actually let them enable that extension for you. Okay, but for the sake of the exercise, you can use safely Internet Explorer. I think Surya is asking, when Internet Explorer is deprecated, what browser will work without extensions? No browser will work without extensions, nor Edge, nor Firefox, and nor Chrome. And this is because how they're built. The browsers actually require these extensions to provide that information to UiPath. Because when we talk about UI automation, we are gonna just talk a little bit more while doing the exercise, but the browser lets UiPath know which elements we are trying to work with. And from Internet Explorer, that technology it's already built into Internet Explorer. But for the newer browsers, again, Chrome, Edge, or Firefox, that information, that technology doesn't come by default. We need to add that extension. So if you don't use Internet Explorer, you are going to need to use an extension for that. Okay, again, let's just go from scratch. We need to indicate which application we want to use, okay? So to say that, again, we use the use application or browser activity. We left click and we drag and drop it here where it says drop activity, right? So now we have this activity, but we haven't told them what we need to do with this. So here we have a text that it says indicate application to automate, right? So what we want to do is click here where it says indicate application to automate. And what is going to happen is that UiPath is going to put this. Let's just put another application in front of this. UiPath is going to put this blue screen and we're going to have a mouse. Let me just put two applications just so I can show you the difference. Let's say we had these two applications here and let's just go here again. We put the application and we say indicate application to automate, okay? So what UiPath does is it lets us indicate which application we're going to use. So that's why when we hover the mouse over the application that we want, that window, that application, it's kind of highlighted in blue. So we actually need to tell UiPath which application we are going to use, okay? So in this case, we are going to use Chrome. So I'll just hover the Chrome application. I see that it's turned blue and indicated here, and I'm just doing a left click, okay? After doing that, UiPath understands that we want to use the browser Chrome. And here we can put the URL that we want to, okay? A cool trick is that if we are already placed in where we want to be, like let's say I'm already going to be here in the unicorn name. Here, we will need to actually left click and say text and actually edit that text and put the URL that we want, right? But let's see what happens when we put that when we already are in the place that we want, right? So again, we use a use application card. We do indicate, we select Chrome. And since we were already there in the website that we wanted, UiPath understands that we want to go there, and it actually already puts you the URL that you have here. So it's actually easier for us if we do it before, if we actually go into Chrome on the website that we want, because we don't need to edit this. Just in case, if you didn't do it and you want to edit this URL, you just click the text. You are prompted here what you want to do, and you say text, and you say that you want to edit this text. You just put the URL that you want, and you click save. Okay, so here it is. So right now, what we want to do in this exercise is type our name, select the month that we were born from this dropdown, do a click in this button, and then we are going to be showing, let me just do it. We're going to do this, then select January. In my case, you just put them any month that you want, preferably the month that you were born. Then you will just click unicorn name. And what we want to do is read this text and output in a message box, for example. Okay, so let me just restart this. And we're going to go here. So the first thing that we said we wanted to do is type into our name. Okay.
Nicolas,
So
can we go back a bit? We have people asking whether we can go back and explain from the use application window.
Yes, sure.
Just
So
retake that step, please.
So this step is, we are going to be doing user interface automation, okay? The user interface, as we talk about, is the elements in an application. And since we want to interact with that application, we need to actually tell UiPath which application we want to use, okay? So in my case, I have, for example, I have Chrome, but I could also have, let me show you here, Firefox, and also this Explorer from Windows, okay? So I actually need to tell UiPath which application am I going to automate, right? So for that, we have the use browser or Chrome, right? So basically, again, from scratch, what we want to do is we will use this activity to tell UiPath which application to use. So we just left click, we drag and drop it here, and then we just click here where it says indicate application to automate, right? So we are not gonna type anything to tell UiPath what application it should use. We just click here and we hover the mouse over the application that we want. Here is PowerPoint and here is Chrome, okay? So it's just left click on Chrome. And this activity already just takes that information that we just selected, and it says that it's going to use browser Chrome. And this is the URL that it's going to use. If we need to edit this, we just left click here. We go over to text and put the URL that we want. Okay. So next step after indicating the activity, the application is actually doing the type into of our name, right? If you remember the activities that we talk about when we need to type something into an application, we are going to use an activity that it's called type into. So what you can do is actually scroll over all of these activities and find type into that is here at the end, or you can go into this search box, click and put type. This is going to filter you the activity. Again, we're going to left click and we're going to drag and drop it where it says drop activity here. You're going to see the difference that this part is inside the use browser activity, but we can also paste it after or before, okay? Whenever we are working with applications in UI automation, all the activities that we need to use actually need to be inside this application, right? So you're gonna hear a lot that this use browser is going to be called use browser card. And this is the place where we put everything, right? So instead of putting it after or before, we actually need to put it inside. You have like a help part with that when you put the first activity because you have it like grayed out. So it's easier for you to identify that. And if not, you can click it and you're gonna see orange box. So when you put the activity, you actually know for sure that you are clicking and putting the activity inside that, right? So we left click and we drag and drop it here, right? If you see now, you actually still see the after button and the before button, but you also have some before and after the activity that is inside this application. Okay, so we mentioned that what we want to do is type into our name, okay? So how we do that? We put the type into activity, and the same way that we did to indicate the application, we're gonna do to indicate where we wanna type, okay? So we're gonna click here where it says indicate target. We do a click. And here we need to go over the elements. right? So we have the button, we have the drop down, we have this text, we have this. What we want to do is indicate where the robot needs to type, okay? So where do it needs to type? It needs to type in this text box. So we're gonna click here. We just did a left click on that part. And after doing that, UiPath is gonna do two things. It's gonna put in green where you wanna interact. That's the target. You see it here, that's called target. And if it thinks that it won't be easy for it to identify where it needs to write, it's going to use an anchor, right? An anchor is this blue thing. You can specify an anchor manually, or you can let UiPath choose an anchor if it can. So what it basically does, an anchor says is we want to type into this text box that is below the anchor, and the anchor is the text, what is your name? So basically what it's gonna do when it runs, it's gonna say, find the text box that is below the text, what is your name, okay? So this will let UiPath actually identify where it needs to type without problems and without errors. And the only thing that we need to do is just click this confirm. We can click this confirm, or we can just press enter, right? So I'm just gonna click this one because it's easier. I click confirm, and then we have the activity, and the activity says that it's going to type into what is your name, okay? Again, what we just did was we drag and drop the activity. We selected indicate target. We actually pointed our mouse to where we want to type, and we did a left click. Then UiPath automatically selected an anchor, and we just hit confirm. Okay, I'm gonna just cancel because we already had the activity. Let me just delete this one. So here we have an activity that says that it needs to type something into that part, but we haven't told what it needs to type, okay? So how we do that? Here we say a part in the activity, we see that it says type this, and it's empty, and it says select a value. So here what we're gonna do is we just click here, and it's gonna prompt us what we need to type. So what we wanna do is we can say to UiPath that it needs to ask when the robot runs. So what it's gonna do is, before actually typing, it's gonna prompt us to actually complete what we wanna do. We can paste from the clipboard if we have something, or we can just actually say the text that we wanna write. Okay, so we're gonna just select text. And in my case, I'm gonna write Nicholas. You just put your name and you click save. Okay, so again, to indicate what we want to type, is we go into the type this, we do a click, we hover into text, we do again a left click, we type anything that we want, and we hit save. Okay, if we run this, what we're gonna get is that UiPath just types my name here. Let me just run it. I'm gonna see that UiPath writes the name. Okay. So next, what we want to do is select the month that we were born. Okay. So how we do that is, again, we talk about the input activities. Here we have an activity that it's called select item. Another thing that you can do, we mentioned some of the activities, the most common ones, but if you come here and you hover your mouse into an activity, it's gonna say you what it does. So basically, if we go into type into, it says enter text in a specified UI user interface element, for example, a text box. And if we go into the select item, it says select an item from a drop-down list, okay? So this is the activity that we want. Again, the same way that we did the type into, we're gonna do with the select item. We're gonna left click and we're gonna drag and drop it. And we need to make sure that we're placing it inside the use browser Chrome activity and not after, okay? So you need to make sure of that. We're gonna put it here. To make sure that we put it inside, we can click here and we'll see again the orange bounding box that shows us that the activity is correctly placed inside that activity, okay?
And Nicholas,
Again,
so
yeah.
there's a question that what are the F figure on the pop-up in the chat? So I'm not sure what does that mean.
I'm guessing that is this pop-up. Let me just show you with this.
Or it might be the pop-up. Yes, this one. Yeah. From Target, from when you
Here,
select
what it,
Target.
yeah. Here it just gave me an error, but let me just do it with the type into that it's going to be easier, sorry. And put it here, indicate element. So here it says if the that part is just like a wizard that lets you do something. It lets you, basically it wants to help you automate without much problems. And the problem right here is, let's say for example that I have Chrome here open, but I actually need to type in another application. Okay, how would I do that? Because if I click here, or if I click, let me just, I click here, it's gonna assume that I want to click that button. Okay, so how can I change application? Should I just escape, open the application and do this again? It's like a lot of trouble, right? So what we can do is, if we check here, it says, if we press F2, it's going to pause this selection for 5 seconds. Okay, so I can press F2, you're gonna see this. Sorry, I just move my mouse over that, so you have it there. Again, let me just press F2, and you will have 5 seconds to actually put or do anything that you want. If 5 seconds is not enough, you can press again F2 and do anything that you want, okay? This is one thing that you can do. Then you have image selection mode. We are not going to go into this, but basically what it means is instead of selecting here how we are doing, that we are selecting the elements, we can use based on image. So we are gonna kind of take like a screenshot of the place that we want to interact. We are not going to go into that, but that's for more complex scenarios. Then we have here UI framework. We have the default one. User interface framework, it's actually how UiPath recognizes the elements. There is more than one framework. We have the default one. We have AA, we have UIA. You are not going to be working with that on 99.9% of the use cases. That's a more complex thing that you are going to use if you're working with harder automations, but you can check that if you go into Academy. I think one of the courses actually talks a little bit about it. So basically all these Fs that you ask about are just helps that you can use to help you do the automation, okay? Let me just cancel. Okay, now we're gonna do the select item to select the month. Let's just drag and drop here, the same as we did here, and we are gonna indicate the dropdown that we want to work with, okay? So we do here indicate, and what we're gonna do now is indicate this dropdown. Okay, we select click, the same as we did with the type into. And again, UiPath recognizes that we have this anchor and it's trying to use it. So we just need to click confirm. And that's that. Why do we say that it's better to use the select item activity? Because we had all these options from the list, all the month. But instead of needing to type what we wanted to select, like we did in the type into, since we're using a select item, UiPath actually can list us all the options that we have. And we can choose the one that we want, right? So how we do that, we just click here. Sorry, not here. We click this arrow that it says the item to select. If we click here, we're gonna get this dropdown, right? With all the options that are available. If the options are something that you don't know in advance because it can change and you wanna actually type what you wanna select, you can just select the plus button here and say text and actually type, for example, January and click save, okay? But on most cases, you're going to just select an option that you already have. So you can use this arrow and we select from these options January, okay? So up until now, again, we use the use browser application. We indicate the browser that we want to use. Then we use the type into activity. We indicate where we want to type. And then we came here, we select text and we typed what we want to write. And last, we selected the select item activity. We indicated the dropdown that we wanted to work with. We selected here and we choose the option. So the last step that we are missing to actually get our name, our unicorn name, is do the click activity, right? So we search here for the click activity. And again, same as the other two, left click and we drag and drop it inside the Chrome activity. Okay. And again, the same as the other two, we do indicate element and we are actually gonna select the button that we wanna click, okay? If you see the button doesn't have anything below, under, or at the sides, so UiPath is not going to use any anchor. And since it's the only button in the screen, it's just going to identify that without any problems. So we click, we selected a target, and we see that no anchor is being generated, okay? We just click confirm. And now we have everything ready. If we needed to do like a double click, a right click or something, we can change this from these two options. But in this case, we just need to do a left click. Okay.
Hey, Nicholas, there a
Yeah.
question in the chat that can you explain the empty field before typing and click before typing into function?
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you have this text, right? But this text right now already has some text, right? If we just run this automation, this is going to write Nicholas at the right. Okay, so it's going to look something like this. To prevent these things from happening, we have these options, right? So these options says, before writing, if we need to empty the field, if we have a single line or if we have a multi-line, okay? If we are using more than one, this is because if we press enters in the text, if we want to write those enters or it's just one line. And the empty is just to make sure that this is deleted before UiPath tries to write, okay? And the click is if you actually see this running, you're gonna see that before typing, it actually moves the mouse, does a click, and then types. You can select if you want to do a double click, single, or no click. And this is because some user interface elements, some text boxes don't let you write anything before you actually are in that text box. So if you don't click, it doesn't let you type anything there. That's why most of the times, or on a default, we have the single click. Okay, sometimes you can just put none and there won't be a problem, but you are safe with just doing a single click. Okay, so if we run this, we're gonna put our name, select our birth month, and get our unicorn name. So let me just run this. Select the month, click get unicorn name, and we just generated our name. Okay, so what we mentioned is that besides actually showing the name, we want to retrieve that and we want to output that value. Okay, so how do we read that name from the website? We're going to do a get text. Put get, and we have here, where is it? Get text here. Okay, so we're going to drag and drop this here. And the same way, we're going to say indicate target on screen. We're going to select this name. And since this name is going to change depending on the data that we just put here, we actually are better if we select an anchor, okay? Because next automation run, it maybe doesn't say confetti crystal dazzler because it changed the name or the month. So to be sure, what we want to say is we want to extract this text that is after the text, this is your unicorn name. So UiPath didn't automatically define an anchor, but again, let me just delete it. But we can manually select an anchor. If we move the mouse, we're going to see these blue options for all the elements, and we can select an anchor if we want. So again, we clicked on the confetti crystal dazzler, we hover our mouse into this is your unicorn name, and we click here. It says that here we have this anchor, and then we do confirm. Okay. So we just got the text, but we need to save it to someplace, right? Because if we want to use it later, we need to save that text. So the get text activity has a few ways of saving text. And those ways we can see it if we go into the save to part, we do a click, and we have copy to clipboard, save for later use. These are the most used options. We can use copy to clipboard. And if you remember here, for example, let's say that we wanted to type that, the type activity, besides actually using the text, we could also paste from clipboard, right? So if you're gonna use it after reading it, like you just read it and you wanna use it in the next activity or the next one, just like real soon, you can use copy to clipboard and actually use that again for the paste to clipboard or type from clipboard, okay? But if you want to use that data later on your project and you need to do multiple activities, you can actually select save for later use. When you select save for later use, you actually just need to give it a name. Okay, so you actually just need to say what is that you are saving for later. And I can say my unicorn name. Okay, so what I'm saving is my unicorn name. I'm gonna select OK. And here it says that it's saving it to my unicorn name. And let's say now that I wanna show a message box with that. A message box is just like an alert box that says whatever we tell them to say. So we're gonna search for that. We're gonna search for message box. We're gonna drag and drop that here. And the message box asks us what it needs to say. We're gonna click here. And again, we can use paste from clipboard if we used copy to clipboard here. We can say a number, I just type the number. We can put a text and actually type the text, or we can use saved value, okay? So if we go here, we are going to be able to see all the values that we selected in the saved for later use, okay? Here we just have my unicorn name, that it's the one that we selected here. So what we want to say is that value. So we're gonna go to use saved value and select my unicorn name. We're gonna save this and let's just go back and refresh this, and we're gonna run it from scratch. For the question about how to put an anchor after that, I'll just show you after showing the execution. So it's going to click and type the name. It's going to select the month, click, gets that text, and shows us a message box that says confetti crystal dazzle. Okay, we should select OK, and the execution finishes.
Hey, Nicholas, can you show everyone how to edit an activity? Like if they
Yeah.
make some mistake and they cannot find the element.
Okay, let's say, for example, that we broke this activity and we need to add an anchor. What we can do, instead of actually deleting the activity and put a new one, we can go here into this menu, this hamburger menu. We click here to open the options menu, and we can say indicate target on screen or edit target. We click edit target and it's gonna load. So let me just save it without an anchor. This is what you did in the question. I save it without an anchor. What I do is click here and I say edit target. If I do indicate target, I'm gonna go from scratch as if I didn't select this first option. And if I hit edit, I'm gonna be prompted with the things that I already selected and I'm able to edit it, okay? So I select, again, we go into here, we go this menu options, we go edit target, and we edit it. I just move the mouse into this part, I do a left click, I do a confirm button, okay? So this is the first automation. So what we want to do is just to make sure that everyone understand what we did is, if you can, we are not going to use Menti for this. Just so if you can paste it in the chat, which activity we need to use to enter our name in our text box. Okay, that's correct. And great to actually see that everyone is selecting the option B, type into. Just as a recap, click activity is to do, as it says, just 2 clicks. Get text is to read something from the application. Type into is to actually type or write something into application. And hover is just to move the mouse over an element, okay? So congratulations, we just built our first robot as the unicorn name. And now we're gonna do the recording UI interactions, okay? So let's say, for example, that we don't know the activities, okay? Because we just did like clicks and types, but if we want to do more things, but we don't know the activities. Yeah, sorry, Christina.
The Menti quiz placeholder.
I think it's after this one.
It's after this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So we're gonna talk about a little bit about the recorder feature, right? So The second method, the first method is just using all the activities manually. And the second method is using the recorder feature. The recorder feature, if you go into the ribbon, you will see a button that says App Web Recorder. And actually what it's gonna let us is actually do what we wanna automate, just do it ourselves, like move the mouse, click, type, and UiPath is gonna record that. And then when we hit save, it's gonna automatically select all the activities that it needs to use, okay? So it's just, we are not gonna use the find unicorn name. We're gonna do the generate strong password example. Again, to create a new project, we go into, here we have the browser extension, but we go into start and we select create from blank task. So we do it here, we go home, start, blank task, and I'm gonna put strong password. Again, the browser extensions if you need it, and we are gonna do the record automation, okay? So what do we wanna do in this example? We're gonna go into password generator. I'm gonna paste the link here in the chat. And what we wanna do is just select that our password is going to be not so long. So it's, I don't know, 10 characters length. And we say we don't want numbers in our password, okay? So we're gonna uncheck this part. And then we're just gonna copy this to our clipboard, okay? And paste it in a message box. Again, what we wanna do is we come here, we wanna type here 10. We're gonna uncheck this option. We're gonna click here into copy to clipboard, and then we're gonna use a message box. Okay, so instead of actually using the use application browser and putting all the activities manually, we're gonna use the app web recorder. So we click here in the app web recorder, and we have this wizard, okay? So what we're gonna do is just hit click in start recording, okay? We select start recording, and then we just need to do anything that we wanna do. If you remember, it was clicking here, and UiPath automatically detects that this is an input box. So it asks us, what do we want to type there? Okay, so it says type a value or use another source of data. Use expression is if we wanted to use a value that we save for later or something else. Right here, we just want to do a plain text. We want to actually type what we want. We want 10. And again, we want to indicate if we want this to be deleted before or not. Okay, since we want to just put a 10, we want this 24 to be deleted. So we're going to put this empty field in, okay, and we just hit confirm. UiPath deletes that and actually puts the 10 there, okay? Here, you're going to be able to see the activities that are being recorded, okay? So let's say, for example, that I click anything by mistake. I click here, and I didn't want to click here. I can come here and say, delete this activity. Okay, so here you're gonna see if you're actually doing whatever you wanna do. So we just put the tender and we wanna uncheck the numbers, okay? So we need to make sure that we go into the checkbox and we click here, okay? And uncheck that, and here we can define if what we wanna do. We wanna uncheck that, we wanna check it, or we wanna change to the other option, right? So if it's checked, it's going to be unchecked, or vice versa. Here in our case, we wanna leave it unchecked, so we leave unchecked. And if you see, unchecked was the option that it was already selected because it identified that we had it checked and we wanna uncheck that, okay? The third activity that we wanna use is click here to copy to clipboard. So we're gonna do this click. And here we have everything, okay? So we actually review this. We have the use browser with Chrome in the password generator web page. We are typing 10 in the field password length. We're gonna uncheck the option in numbers, and we're gonna click on copy to clipboard. This is everything that we wanted to do, so I'm just gonna do save. And here I have everything in the code, right? So instead of actually putting the activity manually and drag and dropping everything, we have this auto-generated for ourselves, right, by UiPath. If we wanted to change anything because we realized that we wanted to put a 12, we can just select, and I did this as if we selected all the activities manually. It's the same as if we did everything manually. The idea is to have everything done by UiPath and not by us. And if you want to reorder something, you can just click and reorder anything, okay? The last thing that we want to do is we have this on the clipboard and we want to actually show that in a message box. So message box, we put it here, and for the value, we select here, paste from clipboard, okay? Why do we select paste from clipboard? Because if you check this option, it actually says copy to clipboard. Okay, so we're gonna restart this, we're gonna run it, and then we're gonna do another Menti quiz. So we're gonna run this, and you're gonna see that it actually types the 10, uncheck the numbers, and select copy to clipboard, and it shows us the password here. Okay. The same thing that we did right now to types, checks, and clicks, you can do for anything that you want. And you can modify it after if you think that you left anything by mistake, okay? So here, instead of doing this, we're gonna go over the Menti quiz. Again, we have the leaderboard.
Okay, guys, go again to menti.com now. So we're going to take the next question. It's the same code. You should already be logged in. Like if you aren't and you want to log in again, just use this code. You have it in chat, meti.com 34718256. We're going to do this question. And then Nicolas is going to show you very fast, because we don't have so much time, a bit of the web recorder feature. That's just going to be a show off and a demo. So you're not going to do it at the same time with him. And then we're going to close the quiz with the third question. So I see we have 58 people. Last time we had about 65. Let's see if it grows. So we give everyone a chance. I see we're stuck at 61, so probably the other four.
We're gonna start.
Let's
62. Just wait like 10 more seconds.
Okay. Yeah, let's start. Okay, so guys, pay attention and answer fast this question. Which StudioX activity can be used to display information to the user? Message box, get text, messenger pigeon, check, uncheck. So this is the one that displays information to the user.
5 seconds.
Okay, let's see. Most of you got it right, yes.
Okay, we don't have a messenger pigeon, and the get text, remember, is to read the text from the application, but not to show it. To actually show the text that we just read, we need to use the message box. That is the box that we use to get to show our unicorn name and to show our password.
Okay, let's see the leaderboard to see if Let's Automate kept the pole position.
I think
Yes,
maybe
he
not.
did.
Yeah?
Yes, he did. Oh,
No,
no.
no. PG.
PJ is our winner from
pigeon.
last time.
The pigeon just won.
Yes, the pigeon just he didn't win yet. We have one more question at the end.
Yeah.
But he is one of the winners from our last session. So guys, as you see, the leaderboard can be turned around. We still have one more question in about 5 minutes, and just stay tuned.
Yeah,
And
we are
Nicholas,
not going to go over this one, so we can show the last part.
Yeah.
Just because we're running out of time. So basically, the last thing that we want to show you is what more we can automate with UI automation, right? We should show 2 automations with web browsers, but what if we want to do a desktop application? Okay, so we're going to use the WUI desktop app. You can find this application in the exercise pack. You go into the exercise pack, you go into the practice 3, and you will see this X file. Double click this one. And this is the application that we want to use, okay? This is a desktop application. And what it lets you add is, let's just put cache on check, not on check, accept. It's just like a simple application that lets you put some data. And when you accept, you get a transaction number, okay? You can have exit, you can show exit, the scale, like change the size, you can do some deposit. It's just a simple application that you can use if you want to test or play around with desktop application, okay? So how do we automate this application? Let's just go into this part. We're just going to show it because of the time, but it's the same as the browser application. This is double UI app. I'm going to create, and we're going to do the same thing that we did in the previous example. And you're going to see that you don't need to know any difference between browser or application. That's why the activities, you remember the use browser or use application activity is the same one. Use application or browser, and the same goes for the recorder. Record application or web. So we're going to do the recording. I'm going to put here record. We're going to select start recording. And we want to type cache in. So we're going to type 100. Here it actually says that it's going to use the application WI. We're going to tap 100. We're going to confirm. Then we're going to type 50. We want to confirm. And then we will just select accept. Okay. And after this, what we want to do is get this text. So I'm going to click here. Well, sorry, this is here. If you want to do, instead of a click, like as it did here when I actually clicked, if you hover your mouse, you're going to see this plus button. Since you cannot actually record reading something because you do it with your eyes, not with your computer, you need to indicate that specifically to UiPath. So when you hover your mouse to whatever the place that you want to do something, you get this plus button. You hover your mouse into this plus button and you get these options, okay? You can select get text. So you just get the text and you can select where you want to save it, okay? So we're going to select here and we say we want to copy to clipboard. Okay. Now we want to just click save. And we have everything here. Okay, we have the use application. And instead of having a URL, like we had in the previous version that we have www.RPA samples / unicorn name or something, we got the actual path to the application that we want. Okay, if you check this path is users, downloads, session 2, UI automation project, blah, 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 WIX. And if you actually check where my X file is, it's actually there. It's user, downloads, session 2, project file, practice 3, desktop, and WIX. Okay, but you don't need to know this. You have the application open and the recorder already knows what it is and just fill this with the information that it needs. Then again, we use the type into. It automatically detects that it needs an anchor in cache in. We type the 100. Same here for on US checks. Then the click on accept, and then the copy to clipboard of the number. And again, we're gonna do message box. And we want to show just what we just get from the clipboard. Okay. So we have this everything cleared, and we're going to run this. Accept, and we got 697,442. That it's the number that we have here. So actually, what we wanted to show you with this is just that it's the same to automate web or to automate desktop application with the recorder. You don't need to know anything extra for that. You just use the recorder, and UiPath is going to detect if it's a browser or if it's a desktop application, and it's going to do all the necessary activities. Okay. So we're just going to go through the third Menti quiz question just to go there and see who actually wins the Menti quiz. So we'll wait for everyone to join. Or I think we were like 62 or
62, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We just wait for a couple of ones that were left.
Okay, so we're up to 559. Do the others still want to join? Like up to 62, we have 3 missing. 60. And I think maybe the other was Richard who just left. I think we can, oh, it's 60.
No, we have 62. Okay.
Yeah, maybe he stayed for the quiz.
Yeah, so it is just.
Okay, let's
enter.
Yeah.
And we'll go to the question.
So guys, answer fast. Which application card can be used to automate UI applications? Excel card, tarot card, app, web, mail.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Magic cards.
Do not distract them. So it can be Excel card, tarot card, app, web, or mail. Great.
Okay, for UI applications, we are going to use the app or web card. We have an Excel card, but that is going to be specifically for Excel, and you are going to see it in the next sessions. So let's see who won. Oh, I think it's Let's Automate. No, PG retained top position. So congratulations.
Yeah, congrats, PJ, on your second winning. Don't know, it may be a fair or unfair competition, but it's clear that he wanted that pole position, and he let Let's Automate just have the first row. Okay, so PJ,
real close.
We're already connected on email, so we will talk tomorrow to get your second prize. But yeah, perhaps for the next session, you might let some other win. Okay.
So
Uh,
before going into the Q&A, as a resource, you'll have the links to go into the Academy for the courses into user interface and all the other courses for StudioX. And you also have the link for the full documentation on UI automation with StudioX.
Okay, guys, I just pasted the link to Academy. So if you want to continue learning on UI automation, just use this link, which will take you to Academy. And you can continue. Oh, no, this is the other link. I will share it again in the end anyway, after Q&A. So I will unmute you now for the Q&A. Let me just allow. Okay, so you are now allowed to unmute. So anyone will stay like 5 minutes for some questions. So anyone who wants to ask a live question. Does anyone want to ask a live question about today's session? Okay, just unmute yourself and ask, please.
Yeah, and if you don't want to unmute yourself, feel free to type into a text.
Yeah.
Into a chat, sorry.
Okay, I just asked everyone to unmute, but if you know you have background noise, please not. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, this is Shiva. So I have a question regarding the screen recording, right? So you showed how you can record these steps and then automate it based on that. But how effective is it when you replay it? Do we need to include any kind of delays as part of the reprocessing, right? When you record it and then you run the processor, does it basically behave in the same way?
So actually for that, I was gonna say that with StudioX on 90% or at least 95% of scenarios, you won't need to do anything because UiPath actually waits for an element to appear before interacts with it. So let's say you are in a web page, and you click a button that actually loads another web page, and your next activity interacts with that new web page that's open. So UiPath is not gonna try to do anything until that application, that web page loads. The only problem with that is that UiPath handles some default timeouts. So basically, by default, it's gonna wait 30 seconds for the next page to load before trying to interact with a button. So if your web page takes like 15 seconds to load, it won't be a problem. UiPath is gonna wait and then it's gonna start interacting. When I say like 90 or 95% of the scenarios is because sometimes you actually need to wait more, or you need to wait for something to finish loading. You have other activities that will help you with that. For example, if you check here, you don't only have the activities that we talk about, we have more. We have get attributes, we can hover, and we have restore windows. We actually have other activities. We can check the application state. This activity that actually lets you verify if something in the UI elements exists or not. So if your application takes more time, you can use these kind of activities mixed with the other ones to actually wait for more time. Or if you go into the properties panel, you can select the activities, go into properties, and you can actually say if you need more time or not. If you go here, it says that the default value is 30 seconds. But if you know that your application can take up to 2 minutes, you can click here, number, and actually put, I think it's in seconds. So you'll need to put, if you want a minute, you can put 60 or 120 or something like that. And you can actually verify if it did everything okay or not. We don't go into every detail on that because you don't actually use it on your first automations where you are starting. And if we kind of use the session to explain all those other things that you can do, it takes like a lot of time, but those kind of things are explained in the Academy courses. So we strongly encourage you to go over Academy and do the courses. They're going to explain like a lot more things. And the idea of this session is just go into the basics, so you actually have all the knowledge that you require to learn the other things. Hope that answers your question.
I see Moises Tapia has a raised hand. So Moises, I think you can ask. Can you unmute yourself and ask? You cannot. You're asked. I asked you to unmute. I don't know why you cannot. You should be able to unmute. Okay.
I can now, thank you. My question is on the get text activity. I noticed that you had the save to clipboard option. For some reason, I'm not showing that on my end. I was wondering why. Copy to clipboard, I don't see that as an option.
Can you check which, that shouldn't depend on the version, that may actually be a problem, but can you check here if you go into home, right here, which version that it says?
Can you, Nicholas, can you paste in chat which version you used? Because we have actually another question regarding which version of Studio you used. So just paste in chat.
Thank you.
Okay, Linda, and that will also answer your question then. Okay.
I'm using 2021.4.4. That is the latest stable version.
Yeah, they have different versions.
Okay, I don't actually know by memory if this is something that was added later. But I will actually need to check that in the documentation of that version.
Moises, you can write us an email and we will answer you. But what else you can do is just update to the latest version to get this feature for sure. And that will be like a faster solution without going through the replies, because anyway, that will be the end solution. So just to track it now, whether it was added or not, that would bring some light, but it will not solve your problem. The real solution is to update version.
Okay, so Paras is asking if we can build in StudioX and then convert to another profile. Yes, everything that you built in StudioX can be open in Studio. We don't actually encourage that because the activities are actually different. You have other activities to build in Studio, like with more complex. So you can do it. Yeah.
Can you please mute yourself, Sam? Okay, I muted Sam.
So basically, you can do it. You can open StudioX files in Studio, but we don't recommend that, at least not for every project. If you need to do something specifically, you can do that. But another thing that you can do is, if you have Studio, you can go here into Settings, License and Profile, and View or Change Profile, and then select StudioX. So my recommendation would be that if you have Studio and you can switch to StudioX just to edit that project, that would be better. Because if you add something that it's not part of Studio or X, then you may break some things. So it's safer to go with changing the profile to StudioX, and then you can change it back the same way. You go to Settings, License and Profile, View or Change Profile, and you select again Studio.
Okay, so I think, okay, we have one more question, and this will be the last we take from Abgag. How do we stop the browser app from auto-close on completion of the activity?
Let me show you the one for the unicorn name, just so we don't do anything. All the activities have properties that we kind of did, like I just showed the one for the timeout. The same goes for the other activities with other properties that we don't actually see them in the default view here because we don't actually change that so often. Let's just wait for it to load. So basically what you want to do is you click on the activity that it's the use browser or use application. You go here into properties and you have a property that says, sorry, I'm not finding it here. Okay, close. So you have this option that it says close, that you will actually select if you want this application to be closed, never. Only want it to be closed if UiPath open that application, or if you want it to be closed always, right? I think the default value is never, but no, the default value is to close it if UiPath open it, right? So basically, if the application is closed, the same goes for open, right? But if the application is closed and you run the automation, UiPath is gonna open that application. And the default mode is to close it after finishing, but you can go again, select here, go into properties and change this to always or never. Never in your case.
Okay, I think that solved the question. Thank you, Nicholas. Okay, I'm going to continue now and close the session. So I'm going to show you. Actually, Nicholas, you can leave it. You can leave it there. So I already shared with you some stuff about a link of from Academy. I will share again that Academy link with you now. This is a link that will take you to the UI automation module in the Academy, in the UiPath Academy. This is a module from the Citizen Developer Foundation course in Academy. I think if you go to it, you will see that this is like a very slow paced. You will find probably everything that you saw here today and even more. So you really learn UI automation. It also comes with a certificate from Academy, so you can take this module, learn better UI, and get the certificate from Academy. Some people asked me whether you have to take this to get the attendancy diploma for the RPA Summer School. No, you don't. That diploma from the summer school will come at the end of this module. After you register to all 4 sessions, you will receive a quiz. And going through that quiz with a certain percentage will give you an attendancy diploma. Now the PPT is not in the Google Drive I shared before. Everything that has to do with these events is uploaded the day after, and everyone receives a follow-up email with the links. So even if you do not receive that email, just going the day after to the event link will take you to the recording and the downloaded presentation. So you can download the PDF of the presentation tomorrow and also see the recording uploaded there on the event link. If you do not know where to find the event link, just please go to the program page again, RPA Summer School program page. I'm going to paste it now again. So you have it there tomorrow and you just go, keep it there. You have all 4 links for events. This is where you're going to find the content. The only condition is that you are registered to all these sessions and you can access the content. We hope that you enjoyed today. This is what else you can do. You can join the forum on StudioX topics. You will also see the link to forum here. Yeah, go to Academy. I strongly encourage you to go to Academy because I know those courses are really slow paced and really well drafted, and you can find a lot of missing information there. And you can follow up tomorrow with us on the program page. I hope everyone enjoyed this session and you learned a lot. We hope that you'll stay close to us at community@uipath.com. You can write us and you can send us feedback, please, or if you wish to leave us any feedback on these sessions in the chat, in the Zoom chat, please do. We are really waiting for your feedback to know how this went and whether we can do it better. We need to know how we did this job. It's a first try this summer. And please check our platform at community.uipath.com. On that platform, you will find like all the resources that our community offers, learning resources, repositories, the forum, and all the programs and engagement you can reach within the UiPath community, and even contributions you can make. So there is a place for everyone, starters or advanced in this community. Just please go there and check out these features, and then write us an email if you want. So bye-bye, everyone. Glad to have had you here. I will now stop the recording.